nasty.
Look at that.
Ryan told me I gotta pick up the car and take it to him. And that's why I'm here.
Somebody told me on the phone just now. What is going on, ladies and gents? Ronnie here from Speed Lab. Got a special treat on the dyno today. We'll talk about this briefly. Well, no, extensively actually, but briefly. We just got two cars out. We just finished Ryan's SPL 2.2. That's over there. HPT 6466 car, made about 834 on our dyno and like 75, 80 foot-pounds of torque. He drove it. He loved it. Let's talk about what we got on the dyno today. This is our client Victor's SPL 1000 equipped Evo 8. Tony's currently doing an oil change on it. Well, Tony's walking out right now, but that's what he's in the process of. Last time we had it on the dyno, we had some issues with it making power, and that was purely related to the turbocharger. Now, the turbocharger on this car is an Apex 64 millimeters, so it's a 6470, but as you guys can tell, it looks like a, you know, Promod 88 or something. It looks very big, and the reason for that is the compressor volute on this thing is so ginormous. I mean, it has a 3-inch outlet, it has a 5-inch inlet, and you know, it's just a ginormous turbo. And another thing that's very, very interesting about these turbos, and why I personally think that this wheel design is so insane and so efficient, is if you look at the tip, it has this crazy like arrow tip. It doesn't have like that bulky. This is also a 64 millimeter, but look at how big this nut is on there. So just moving away from that and just having more blade area, regardless of how much extruder and inducer you have, as you can see, I mean, these blades are so much taller.
Dude, that's a cool tip, bro.
In my opinion, that's what sets this turbo apart. It is a tractor pulling turbo, but all the big power guys are running this. So Rafe, Nick Amaral, it's insane. I mean, the power levels that they're making is just kind of insane. So anyway, we spoke with Ryan, the owner of Apex turbochargers, and he told us to send it in. There was a couple things that he was gonna do with the compressor tip height and stuff like that. So they also did send us a new compressor cover. Shout out to them. So they did modify some stuff to get it to spool where we wanted it to. It should make power now a lot more effortlessly. Another thing that we did is when Tony was installing the hot side, we went to a 0.96 or 0.98 T4 before we had the 115. So just by going to the smaller hot side, we're gonna spool this turbo up much quicker. So that's gonna help us. Now, another couple things that we did, which is always a must for me, is we got rid of his skunk intake manifold and 3-inch upper intercooler piping, and we went to a Magnus V5, which is a 5-liter plenum. Same thing I run on my car, same thing we run on all the big power Evos. And a couple other things that you guys are gonna see that is kind of cool. First and foremost, you guys can see that we're running a drive-by-wire, so no more cable throttle. That's out of the way. We got an 82 millimeter Bosch throttle body. Over here, we have the Billet Magnus Motorsports high boost adapter, is what they call it. Essentially what it is it's a Vangin on one side that slides over the throttle body with an O-ring, and then you can weld a Vangin on there and then, you know, just kick the pipe down, which is exactly what we have. Another thing you guys might notice that's kind of out of the norm is we have 2 blow-off valves. Why do we have 2 blow-off valves? Because we could fit 2 blow-off valves, so I guess it's just a kind of a FU factor. But it's nice to be able to, you know, make sure that all the boost can, you know, get out on time. But we also have an IAT sensor over here that's not plugged in. That's just a GM IAT, so nothing crazy there. This car is on a Haltech ECU, so it's my full spec'd out Haltech kit basically. We got the IGN-1A coils, Haltech coils. They're from Ohm Racing, so his harness essentially, and Haltech coils. We have an I/O expander because now we have the drive-by-wire, so that already takes 4 of our analog inputs. So we're only left with 1 usable analog input, and obviously we have other sensors running on this car, such as manifold absolute pressure, map sensor, oil pressure, fuel pressure, coolant pressure. So yeah, we were already going to be out of I/O, you know, on the first sensor. So we needed to go to the I/O expander, which is the only thing left for me to do. We're putting 50 weight race oil just because we're going to stress the crap out of this motor right now. And I am projecting this car to make anywhere from 1100 to 1150 on our dyno. Anything past 1150, I think, will put us at the highest horsepower, 10th highest horsepower Evo. Obviously, we have a lot of other things too, so he can do just that. So I have this relay wired into a DPO from the IO expander, and then we have this magnet launch control device. So if you guys don't know what this is, it's just a clutch slipper, and it's essentially a solenoid that, when activated, it delays the pressure transfer across this circuit, basically. And you know, and long story short, what I'm trying to say is, when you dump the clutch, it doesn't just, you know, bounce right back up. It actually takes a couple milliseconds for it to come up, which allows you to not shock the drivetrain and actually get a nice slip of the clutch, and essentially, you know, get the car to go down the track and not bog.
As Ronnie takes his phone call here, I am genuinely concerned this building might collapse after he does one pull with this thing. Hey Ronnie, I got a question.
What's up, baby?
What's the Speed Lab dyno record with the Evos?
With the Evos, I think the highest one was AJ's 1002.
It seems like today might be a good day to...
I really want to break the record, just because he's been through so much with this car, and you know, there's just a lot of hurdles, especially like after us putting the car together and it not working the way it should have. I mean, not that it was any of our fault. You know, this is a new turbo that we're testing out. If you look at this, this is a load cell. So this is a strain gauge. It's a 3-wire load cell that every time, I'll show you guys later on the Haltech, every time you push or pull on this, it generates a voltage. And based on the voltage output of this, I can initiate a cut. So essentially, when you're driving, you can just keep your foot planted on the pedal and just, you know, bang gears without actually having to clutch. All right, the dogs are locking it. But basically what will happen is you'll go to first. That's not first. You'll go to first gear, you'll come back. This will drop down, and then you will only be able to go into third gear.
Who's number one on that Mitsubishi forum? What's
Rafe.
Rafe.
Yeah, 1700 horse. Yeah, we
Dude,
can't get that.
we could do that.
Obviously, when we went drive-by-wire, like I said, we had to use some of the IO that we weren't using before. So now what we're going to do is the remaining sensors, so manifold absolute pressure sensor, oil pressure, fuel pressure, and coolant pressure sensor, we're going to wire into the IO expander. Over here, we have a CAN keypad with invisible labels, because I haven't labeled them yet. Look at how many functions we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, I don't have to count it. There's 8.
Where are your earmuffs?
Yeah, you're gonna fucking need those.
I need two sets of those. So as Ronnie completes some baseline numbers in there, I had to step out here in the rain because I'd rather be out here than in there with that sound and that smell. Oh my God, you guys can see how hotbox in there. Poor Tony. How are you breathing, brother?
Alright, so not the happy ending that we expected. So unfortunately we had this problem with the Apex 6470 before. Last time around we managed to make 992 at 57 PSI on the bigger hot side, which is absurd. I mean, that's just so much boost for, you know, just to make that much power. I mean, literally, not even a HPT, a PTE 6870 S cover would make that with like 45, 46 PSI. You know, obviously we're zinging the motor to 9200. Great oil pressure, it's liking it, it's taking it. I have more timing in it than I would like, just because, you know, I'm just like, I want to make the power for Victor. I'm trying to help the guy out, and you know, the power it's making at that boost level. So that was 905 and 574 torque at 8600 RPM. Still climbing, right? But at 53 pounds of boost. 51, tapering to 51. That's a 6470. It's not supposed to need that much boost. So we made 900. I mean, you can call it 900. If I give it all the beans, you know, we only have a 5 bar, so we can go up to 57 psi. It'll probably make 950, maybe, or maybe with another additional degree of timing. I just don't want to get greedy with it because there's no point. I mean, it's just not practical. Now, looking at the graph, if we were to rev this thing out to like 10K, you know, it would be more feasible. But I think this is like a great track turbo, but not a street turbo at all. Like if all out drag race de-stroked, like if this was like a 2.1 de-stroker or something like that, would be a okay turbo. I wouldn't say great, just because the power band is just so terrible. And there's a lot of people. I mean, Devin from Booston's running a Apex, Ben Hodgman, like I said, Nick, Rafe, you know, all these, you know, legends are, you know, running these turbos, and they're making great power. I was actually taking a look at the Mitsu Talks dyno leaderboard, and both Rafe and Nick were making, well, Nick was making like 1388 at 8,000 RPM. We're making 900 at 8,700 RPM. So something's just not right.
Something's wrong, man.
Yeah, something's just not right with the setup. And we don't have boost leaks. We've checked. We have Vangein clamps everywhere. Now, last time we had a Skunk 2 intake manifold. Now we have a Magnus intake manifold. And, you know, for the client to not get the desired results. Obviously, this is a unit that we're testing too. We don't have experience with the Apex stuff. Speaking of Chris, probably sending me downpipe pictures. Or telling me something, bro. So, I think Victor is going to reach out to Apex. Talk to the owner. We did get a couple videos. And I did share my thoughts. Let's see what we can do. I talked to Victor to potentially go the HPD route, maybe a 7275 F3 frame, still spool faster than this, and make like 1050 probably at like 50 psi. It's not that the motor can't take it, but it's like we've already done like 120 pulls on this freaking motor at 50 plus pounds of boost. But on the last turbo and on this turbo, I mean, we did like 40 pulls today. Last time we did even more pulls. It's an aluminum rod motor. It's like eventually it's gonna let go. We don't want it to let go on the dyno.
Yeah.
Just testing. You know.
It's pointless at this point to do another pull.
No, like there's
completely
literally no
pointless.
point. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, what am I gonna gain? Another 50 horsepower?
And then what?
We're still
not
at
enough.
like 55. We're gonna be at like 55, 57 pounds of boost. One other thing that I think his name's Ryan, the owner of Apex, was mentioning is he wants to see certain shaft speeds. That's something we can log, but the thing is, if we're below the shaft speed he wants to see, I'm not gonna run, you know, 65 pounds of boost on this thing. I mean, we're only on, you know, 11mm head studs, and, you know, an O-ringed head. I mean, it held 60 before, but it's like, you know, I don't really want to push it like that. I'm not comfortable pushing it like that and sending it out, and, you know, as soon as he gets it, he lifts the head or something like that. And, you know, with our, you know, when we have an O-ringed head, it's not going to be a simple head lift. It's gonna torch a lot of shit. So 53 psi by 7,000 RPM. I mean, that's 6,000 RPM. We're making 43, 45 pounds of boost, which is not terrible for a big turbo, but it's not making the power. If it was making like 1,100 horsepower right now, it'd be like, that's fine, you know, like 700 foot-pounds of torque and like
Absolutely.
a little bit of a usable power band, but yeah, I don't know. Everything else, obviously, is working great. It's just the turbo is just hindering us right now. Still got fuel left. We're at 75% injector duty at 55 pounds of base, so we can bump that up to 58, 60, 62, 65. Yeah.
Tapping out.
Yeah, topping out, man. I mean, unfortunately, you know, we didn't get the results we wanted, but this car is going to be here. So I think what's next for it is an HPT 7275 or maybe even a bigger turbocharger. I mean, honestly, would spool better than this. Even a 7675 or 7685 would spool better than this, which is insane to even say out loud. But I don't know. But yeah, we made 900, not 1200. But next time we'll make Probably not 1200, but something more than
Something closer than this.
Yeah, something closer. But overall, engine's holding up great, which is, you know, where I get to shine, I guess.
Yep,
And
sounds
I
good.
guess my keyboard skills aren't that bad because it's still intact. So anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for watching and stay tuned for the next one because this car is going to make over 1,000 horsepower, over 1,100.